All right, I went ahead and started recording just so you guys know. We're going to finish this up with polynomial notes, and then you guys have a review and then a test on Wednesday. Got it? Everybody good? Please take your test on Wednesday. When we get through this half of the semester, if you don't take your test on the days that I assign them, I'm going to make them zeros. Okay, just to forewarn you, first semester, I'm going to give you, first half of the semester, I'm going to give you a little bit of leeway. Okay, we're getting used to the system. By now, we should be good with Canvas. I shouldn't have 50 emails. I don't know how to upload my stuff at this point. So when we get to this second half of the semester, which starts next Friday, I am not taking tests late. Does everybody understand that? You do it that day or it's a zero. And I don't care if it's midnight that night, but if you don't have it turned in, y'all, I'm not doing it. You don't do, and I don't mean this like in a bad way. You don't have like for real school on Wednesday. Okay, that's why we like to give our test, and it gives you plenty of time to do it. Got it? That way you're not having to worry about what you do on Wednesday, you know. All right, so I want that stuff turned in on time. On this Wednesday, turn your test in on time. I want to make sure that you guys get it on that grading period and you can see what you need to do. And then next Thursday, possibly, I don't set this in stone, but next Thursday, maybe a work makeup day so that that Friday, when it's a teacher work day and you don't have any class or any remote learning, you should not have anything on that day. I'm not planning anything for next Friday because it's an actual work day. Y'all don't do it anyway. Then that Thursday can be go back and take one of those tests that you made too low on or something like that. And everybody that's done the piecewise test has improved their grade, like went back and took that piecewise part. So make sure you guys go back and do that. Okay. If it's not open and you need it open, just email me and it takes 2 seconds for me to open it back up and make you have another attempt. So don't feel bad about that. If you need it, just let me know. And that can happen from now till next Friday. But Friday, y'all, I don't want 50 assignments coming in on Friday. It has to be due that Thursday. That's why I want to give you that Thursday to get it done. So that Friday I can put them in and be done with grades Friday morning and then be able to use that time as planning for the next couple weeks or whatever. Okay, does that make sense? Like I said, we're almost done. Polynomial functions notes is just solving higher order factoring again. So you're doing the same thing that you've been doing. I showed you how to solve them the other day, but we're going to go over it again, and we'll go over it within our review tomorrow as well. So all you're doing is seeing if it's a factor. So if it's a factor, your remainder will equal 0. This was the next step, right? We're good? Okay. I just see a lot of you like flipping and like freaking out. You good? You got yours? You good?
I don't think I have it. I think I'll do it home.
All right. Can you just write it down on a sheet of paper? Because I don't know if I have a.
Yeah, that one.
I don't know if I have a picture. Let me look and see that. Hold on, guys. I'm sorry. All right. So you're just trying to figure out if it's a factor or not. And then if it is a factor, you're going to find all of the zeros. So on this first one, do you remember how we do this when we have a number in front? We're going to divide it. We're going to do synthetic so we can make it easy. How do I do it with a number in front?
Change to a fraction.
So remember we changed this to m plus 2 over 10. Put this up so we have a lot of room. All right, so ready, good? What goes in my backwards box? Negative. I'd leave it. You can do 1 over 5, and I don't mind you guys reducing it, but then I forget in the end that I have to divide by 10. So I just leave it this way, okay? If you want to reduce it, you're more than welcome, but remember, you're still going to divide by 10 in the end. Don't try to divide by that 5. So a lot of people will do that, and then they'll divide by 5. So just be careful. Across the side. Keep going, 100, 80, 82, and what happens if there's not one of those terms? Just make sure you put that 0 in. Bless you. Bless you. What's our first step? Drop the first one. Always drop that first one. 100 times negative 2 over 10. All right, listen. So I hear y'all. You don't have to do that. Let me tell you why. What is 100 divided by 10 times negative 2? It makes it a little bit easier. It's actually faster than putting it in the calculator. 80 minus 20. 60 divided by 10 times negative 2. Add that up. 82 plus negative 12, or 82 minus 12. 70 divided by 10 times negative 2, which gives me a remainder of. So this one is not a factor because our remainder is not 0. But then I want you to go ahead and finish it out so that we can remind ourselves how to do long and synthetic division. What do I have to do with these numbers? Divide them by 10. Remember, do not touch the remainder. Do not touch the remainder. 100 divided by 10 is 1 less power is m squared. 60 divided by 10 plus 6, 1 less power is m, plus 70 divided by 10 is, how do we write our remainder? Perfect. Okay, so a little bit of review of the other day. All right, number 2. Number 2. What's weird about number 2? It's just in a weird order, right? So be careful about that on your test or on your review. So we're going to put it in the right order, 40a squared plus 8a plus 9. And then how do I rewrite this? Go ahead and just write it as positive 1/5 for your factor, but yes, in the backwards box, we will change it to negative 1/5. Is everybody okay? Tell me if you get stuck somewhere or something you weren't sure about. All right, across. Keep going. And bring down your 40. What is 40 divided by 5? Times negative 1. What happens there? Get a 0. Times negative 1/5. And I have a remainder of. So is it a factor? Good. Why is it not a factor? The remainder is not equal to 0. But what do I have to do to finish out? Divide these two by 5. Don't touch the remainder. 40 divided by 5 is 1 less power is. There is no single term. I'm going to go ahead and put it for you guys so that you can see that. And then 9 divided by. So your final answer should be 8a plus 9 over 5a plus 1. And again, you don't have to put that 0. I just wanted to remind you that it was there. So when you look back in your notes, you can see where it went. All right, I'm actually going to skip number 3 and I'm going to go to number 4. We're not going to do all of these. They would take forever, but I do want to get to some that are factors, and number 3 is not a factor, so there's no point doing it because you've seen those, okay? All right. Watch your orders, okay? Watch the order that it's in. What order should it be in? 10n to the 4th. What comes next? Negative 78n cubed. 46n squared. Minus 12n plus 16. And then we want to divide it by 10n minus 8, but we're going to change that to n minus 8 over 10. Is everybody okay? All right, what goes in my backwards box? 8 over 10. Sorry, y'all. Out to the side, make sure you go by the one you put in order. 10. Uh-huh. -12 and 16. Watch those signs. I'd hate for you to screw it up. If you've messed it up, it's probably within a sign. It's not the actual work. Okay, so just be careful about your signs. Bring down your 10. 10 divided by 10 times 8 plus -78. -70. Divided by 10. -7 times 8 plus 46. -10. Divided by 10 times 8 is -8 plus -12. -20 divided by 10 times 8. What happened? So it is a factor. But to be able to find the rest of the terms or the rest of the zeros, you have to finish out your synthetic division, and then you're going to have to factor some more. So finish it out. We're going to divide by 10. And I'm going to get n cubed minus 7n squared minus n minus 2. All right, so I'm going to do this a couple different ways, okay? This one is not one you've seen. If you try to group it, it doesn't work, which means there's going to be some crazy and imaginary factors, okay? So everybody got that? So watch that. So use your calculator. Don't be scared to use your calculator on your final exam. You can use it the entire time. Yeah, if y'all need one, grab one from up there. I'm going to go into y equals, and I'm going to put this, oh, sorry, x to the third minus 7x squared minus x minus 2. And then since we're looking for our x-intercepts, I'm going to put 0 for y2. Again, you can put that in the whole time, and it's not going to hurt anything at all. All right. I'm going to graph this. And we're going to talk about a couple different things. Okay. First thing is, this will show me some of my solutions possibly. But if this is a factor, that means that's a solution as well. Okay. So if my factor is -8/10, what is my solution? But what is +8/10? Now you can reduce it. What is it? 4/5. That's okay. So there's one solution. How many solutions should I have for this thing? Look again. In the very beginning, I should have 4, right? So this is 1. Look at your graph. How many solutions do you see on the graph? One, just 1, right? So I'm supposed to have 4. I got 1. I see 1. Where are the other 2? Nope. What? Nope. There's no bounce. Do you see a bounce? Nope. Where are the other 2? They're imaginary. You can't see them, right? So they're imaginary. So here's what you have. This right here, this one is a solution. Second trace intersect. I go up to the straight line. I don't follow the curve. Go close to it, enter 3 times. What do we get? What do we get?
7.2.
And I'm going to go ahead and round it 2 places. So I'm going to do 7.18. If you gave me 7.2, I'd be fine with that. Don't stress out too much about your rounding. So there's your other one. And then can I find the other 2? On this one, it's not going to be easy to find the other 2, so I'm just going to write there's 2 imaginary. I will show you on your quiz. Let me make sure it's the right way. Yeah, I will show you one on your quiz how to solve everything, especially if it has imaginary, okay? It's not like this. All right, look at your next one. Hold on a minute. What? What'd you say? Yeah, there's not an n squared. Let's look at number 6 for a minute. I'm gonna come back to number 5. I'm gonna come back to number 5. All right, so what am I gonna put in my backwards box? So we would change this to k plus 1 over 2, which would mean negative 1/2 goes in the box. You don't have to write all that down if you don't want to, okay? Just be careful. All right, out to the side. Is that it? 6 and 3? I have to have a 0. Why do I have to have a 0? I don't have that last term, right? So yes, you still have to put a 0 there. Bring down my 6. Half of 6, or negative half of 6 is. And remember, when we see a 0, that's going to happen all the time. We're going to have a 0. Negative 1/2 times 0 is? What's my remainder? So what does that mean? It's a factor, but it's also what? A what? Starts with an S. Solution. It's also a solution. So the factor is the one in parentheses. K plus 1/2 is a factor. And then the solution is k is negative 1/2. What do I have to do to these numbers? Divide by 2. Leave that one alone. All right, I get 3k. That's the only thing I have left, right? So now I set that equal to 0. How do I solve it? And I get k equals 0. How many solutions was I supposed to have? 2. How many do I have? So we have 2 real. Okay, check this out. You can look at those on your calculator. I'm just showing you, you don't have to do it. You can solve it either way. 6x squared plus 3x. I'm going to graph it. Tell me how many times it crosses the x-axis? 2 times. How many solutions do we have? How many were we supposed to have? 2. So there are no imaginary. There's 2 reals. Second trace intersects. Sorry, I hit the wrong button. Enter, enter, enter. There's your 0. Second trace intersect. Move it over to the other side. There's your negative 0.5 or your negative 1/2. Is everybody good? So you can find your solutions from the very beginning. Can you tell if it's a factor or not? That's kind of up to you. Like if you can see that negative 1/2 is the solution to that, then you can say yes without doing the work. Does that make sense? Or do the work. I would suggest you do the work. All right, so we're going back to number 5. It's in order. Does it skip anything? Yes, it skips a square, so I'll make sure I put in a 0. And then I'm going to change this to n plus 8 over 4. So what goes in the backwards box? Negative 8 over 4. I would leave it that way to remind myself to divide by 4. If you want to put a little negative 2 up here so that you know when you're multiplying, you just multiply by negative 2, you can do that. But again, if I change it, I forget to divide. That's just me though. 4, 8, I don't have a square term, negative 28, negative 56. Bring down your 4. 4 times negative 2. Four times negative 2. Negative 8. And remember I said when you have zeros, you're going to see a lot of zeros. When I multiply it by the box, I get 0. When I add it, I get 0. When I multiply it by the box, I get 0. Negative 28 plus 0 is? Negative 28 times negative 2. What happened? So it is what? It is a factor. If it's a factor, it's also a what? So whatever you put in that backwards box is going to be your first solution. We need to finish it out because how many solutions should I have? I should have 4. So we need to finish it out. We need to divide everything by 4. Those other 2 don't really matter. You can put it on there if you want to. 4 divided by 4 is 1 less power is n cubed. Negative 28 divided by 4. We're gonna set that equal to 0. What? You good? Sorry, no, that's fine. All right, how would I solve this? Add 7. And then? And I get? Remember that's under math. So if you're looking for the cube root key, it's under math. I think it's number 4. Okay, so how many solutions do I have right now? 2. Let's check this out. I'm going to put it in the very beginning so you guys can see it. You don't have to do this. Minus 28x minus 56. And I'm going to graph it. That 0 doesn't matter in there at all. How many x-intercepts do you see? 2. How many should I see? 4. What's that tell you about the other 2? There is a way to find them. We're just not doing it. Not with these. Now, if it's one that you can factor perfectly, like if this would have been n cubed minus 8. 8 is a perfect cube. We're going to do our perfect cubes and find those imaginary. So that's what you're going to do on your quiz. Okay. Well, we'll do that. All right. Let's look at number 7. 3, 2, 1, no term, so that's good to go. We're going to change this factor to plus 2/5. So what's going in our backwards box? So if we get a 0, that's going to be our solution, okay? That factor will happen, and then it will be our solution. All right, how many answers should I have? 3. I should have 3. Okay, let's see what happens. 20, 28, 13, and 2. Bring down your 20. Remember how I told you to multiply this. What's 20 divided by 5? Times -2. Plus 28. This number will always be divisible by 5. 20 divided by 5 times -2 plus 13. 5 divided by 5 times -2. And I have a remainder of. So this is a factor, which means our first solution is -2/5, whatever's in the backwards box. Remember, I should have 3 solutions. Okay, finish it out, divide these by 5. What do I get?
4d squared plus 4d plus 1.
Equals 0. We know how to factor this. And if we don't know how to factor it, we can use quadratic formula to solve it, right? I'm telling you, it's factorable. How do we factor this? Slide and divide. So I'm going to slide my 4 over. I get v squared plus 4v plus 4. Do I have factors of 4 that add to 4? Mm-hmm. Ooh, so what's happening here? Multiplicity of 2, right? We're going to get the same answer. All right. Don't forget, I have to go back. I did slide, now I have to divide. If I have a factor of 2/4, then I have an answer of -2/4 or -1/2. And I have this twice, so I'm going to put it M2 for a multiplicity of 2. That's what you'll see on your review and on your test. How many solutions should I have had? 3. I had 1 at -2/5, and I had multiplicity of 2 at 1/2, -1/2. So that's your 3. Okay, so what does that look like? Let me show you what it looks like on your graph. 20x squared. Again, sorry, x cubed. You don't have to do this. I'm just showing you what it looks like. Plus 2 when we graph it. Remember, we talked about this, what's gonna happen at -1/2.
It's going down.
Did I graph the right thing? I did not. What did I put in? Oh, right there. Let's see if this looks better. Just going too fast. There it is. Nope, that's not it either, is it? Yeah, it is. 20x cubed plus 28x squared plus 13. Yep. Zoom in for you. You'll see it once I zoom in. Did you see how it tipped it and then went through? If I zoom in one more time. No, I made it tired. Hold on. It's working. Sorry, I'm gonna zoom in one more time. Just waiting on it to quit working so I can do that. I'm gonna zoom in right here. There's your bounce, and then it comes down and goes through. It's really hard to see, but you guys can see it. So there's your 3. So just be careful when you're looking at them on the graph that you don't think it's just 1. Does that make sense? Okay, so be careful. All right, check your next one. Let's see. I don't want to do that one. It's not a factor. Let's go to number 9. All right. You ready? Good. Number 9. This is in order, but what's wrong with it? What's wrong with the first set of parentheses? It's missing the end, right? So we need to make sure we put a 0. Your factor, v plus 9 divided by 9. What's going to go in your backwards box? -9/9. If you need to put a -1 up here to remind yourself, you're just multiplying by -1. Okay. We have a 45v squared, a 45v, and no last term. Bring down your 45. 45 times -1, which gives you a 0, times -1 is 0, which gives you a remainder of 0. So it is a factor, which means it's also a solution. So what's our first solution? What? -1, yes. Sorry, I just didn't hear you. Finish it out. We have to divide by 9. 45 divided by 9 is? We started with v squared, so this is just 5v. And we're going to set it equal to 0. How do I solve? And v equals 0. How many solutions should we have had? How many do we have? 2. Any questions?
Like how many eggs have that by how many?
What the degree is. So your highest power is 2. So like on number 11, how many answers should you have? 4 is your highest power. And then you guys can go ahead and look, like on number 4, 9x to the 4th plus 78. This might not be the best example, but I'm going to try. 42x squared plus 12x plus 56. You can go ahead and graph it. I'm sorry, y'all, and see. All right, so what do you see? Hold on, it's not done. Ignore that I said that. There you go. And red line. So what do you see?
2x intercept.
2x intercepts. How many should you have
2.
on number 11?
Oh, 4.
You should have 4. So that means I have 2 real and 2 imaginary. Okay. And you're only going to find the imaginary if you get like perfect factors. So on your quiz, you'll see that. So I'm going to go to your quiz now. I know there's lots more in the notes that we can do, but there's no point in doing them. And we have about 8.5 minutes left. So I want to show you what this looks like. So I'm going to do number 1 with you because that one will get you how you need to go. All right. So we have x to the 6 minus 7x cubed minus 8. We factored these the other day, right? You guys remember factoring them? When we have x to the sixth, it's 3 terms. Remember, we just split it and do it just like the cheater method. What are your factors of -8 that add to -7? These are both perfect cubes, so we can factor them like normal. So remember, x to the third, we do that AB, just to remind you, sorry. A minus B is A squared plus AB plus B squared. If you have it the other way, A plus B, it's A squared minus AB plus B squared. Okay, so don't forget those. So right here, my cube root of x cubed is, cube root of 8 is, so your factor is going to be x minus 2 because you start with what the problem is. Square it, change the sign, multiply them together, 2x, and then square the last one, which will be 4. To do the other one, you get x and 1, so it'll be x plus 1. You'll have x squared minus x plus 1. Okay, that's factoring. That's, you already know that. Even if I went too fast, you already know how to do that, okay? We've been doing that for a couple weeks now. So now it's just setting them both equal to 0, all 4 of them, because I should have 6 answers. Think about that. I should have 6 answers. These 2 are the easiest. If I have a factor of x minus 2, what is my answer? Just positive 2, x equals 2. X plus 1, my answer is -1. Okay, you guys see how these have -1s? We don't have a 0. Okay, we don't have a 0, so this one will be marked out. But I'm going to show you how to solve, remind you how to solve these. Quadratic formula. What is quadratic formula? All over 2a, so make sure you have that. So we have a is 1, b is 2, c is 4 in this one. You're going to have to do quadratic formula twice. That's why these are really crappy. Okay. X equals, negative b would be -2, plus or minus big fat square root. 2 squared minus 4 times a is 1 times c is 4. All over 2 times a is 1. Don't put the square root in, but put the stuff underneath it. So 2 squared minus 4 times 1 times 4. Gives us -12 over 2. Simplify this. -12 is -1, 2, 2, and 3. Do I have a pair? Yes, I have a pair of 2's. So I get -2 plus or minus. I took out a 2. How do I take out that -1? The I, and if you want to put it above it, that's fine. But I left a 3 and divide by 2. Last thing is check your triangle of numbers. All of these are divisible by 2. So you get -1 plus or minus I square root of 3. That is 2 more answers. So now I'm up to 4. Okay, so 2 real, here's 2 imaginary. And I'm going to get the other 2 imaginary from the other quadratic formula. That's why you got lots of space to work out. So we have 1, -1, and 1. So x equals negative b would be +1. Plus or minus big fat square root. B squared minus 4 times a times c all over 2a. Underneath the square root, 1 minus 4 is -3 over 2. How do I get rid of the negative? Because the 3 won't break down. I square root of 3 over 2. There's your other 2 imaginary answers. So now we just need to look. Here's where I would start with all these crazy imaginaries. -1 plus or minus I square root 3. -1 plus or minus I square root of 3. -1 minus I square root of 3. So that one works and this one works. Does this one work? No, because it's got a 2, so I'm definitely marking that out. And then I don't even see this answer over here. I didn't get 2i and negative 2i. All right. Look at your square roots. I have a square root of 3 and a square root of 7. What did I have? 3. So this one has to be gone, and your answer for number 1 should be A. All right, look at number 3 for just a minute. How would I factor this to start with? If I have a number in front. Sign divide, yeah. So I get x to the 4th plus 13x squared minus 30. Do I have factors of negative 30 that add to 13? Say it again. Try different factors. 15 and negative 2. A lot of people get stuck with that. That's why I wanted to do in this one. So then how do I solve these? We're going to set them equal to 0. X squared plus 15 equals 0. How do I solve that? Subtract 15. And then do what with it? Take the square root. 15 will not break down, so I get positive, negative, because there's always 2 answers. How do I get rid of the negative? And then leave square root 15. Oh, no. I screwed up. Why? I did slide, but I didn't do what? Divide. Sorry, y'all. Sorry. That was what I wanted to show you, though, but it'll be fine. So x squared plus 3 is your factor, and leave it as x squared minus 2/5 is your other factor. Do the same thing that you just said. Set it equal to 0. Subtract your 3. Take the square root. Positive, negative all the time. Get the I, and the 3 doesn't reduce. So here's your first 2. And then I wanted to remind you about this. It's got to go quick. So x squared equals 2/5. We take the square root. So to clean this up, I'm going to do it down here. You do multiply by the square root of 2 over the square root of, the square root of 5 over the square root of 5. 2 times 5 is 10. The square root of 5 times the square root of 5 is just 5. How many answers are there to a square root problem? Positive and negative. So then you should have plus or minus square root 3, I square root 3. So it's either going to be A or C. And then we have square root of 10 over 5, so it has to be C. So there you have 2 of your 10, I think, answers. Is everybody good? All right, I'm going to stop recording and stop sharing. If you guys have questions, you need to let me know now, and we will